Ooh, the home is such a relaxing place for you to just watch Netflix and assume that there's nothing in the wall like bodies. No, well, that would never happen. If you'd like to spend a lot of time at home like I do, it's probably your sanctuary. But if you weren't the first one to live where you're currently at, you might want to give your house a thorough check. That's because the people that used to live there may have literally been hiding things in the walls. And yeah, whatever just popped into your head, that's probably right. At least it was for these people. Let's let the weirdness begin, huh? Here are 10 freaky things people found inside their walls. Number 10 were a lot of bees. In September of 2017, Megan Sutherland of Newcastle, Australia, woke up from a buzzing sound coming from what she thought was the other side of her bedroom wall. However, upon closer inspection, it became clear that the buzzing noise wasn't coming from outside her home, but inside the walls. So like any sane person, she began taking down pieces of her wall, only to find a massive honeybee colony. Sutherland estimates that it had been constructed over the previous 2 years, with bees gaining access through cracks in the outside siding. She extracted a whopping 30 kilograms of honey in just her first day, but the damage to the walls, roof, and foundation of her home cost thousands of dollars to repair. Hopefully she can sell some of that honey to make up for it. But believe it or not, finding bee colonies in walls isn't that uncommon. Later that same month, a homeowner in New Jersey found 30,000 bees in theirs. So next time you hear some buzz buzz or some scratch scratch, just know that it could be bees, or rodents, or perhaps spiders. Wouldn't that be a treat? Number 9 are razor blades. If you shave like a normal person, you throw your old razors in the garbage, but that wasn't always the case. If you have an older home and are planning to do renovations to your bathroom, be prepared. A number of people have been completely freaked out when they took down the walls of their old bathrooms, only to find them filled with old, rusted, and even bloody razor blades. Now that might sound like the start of a bad horror movie, but it's actually pretty common, and more than a few renovators have received surprise slashes. So yeah, John, you going out this weekend? I'm going out as soon as I take this wall down. God, I have AIDS. Have you ever noticed that some old medicine cabinets have a small opening in the back of them that resembles a tiny mail slot? It's not for mail. Nor is it for decoration. In fact, that slot usually led to a hole in the wall. Instead of being sane and just putting the used razors in the garbage, people would, for whatever reason, slip them right into their wall. Out of sight, out of mind, I guess. Number 8 are cats. If you ever find a cat body in your wall, it's not because Mr. Whiskers was trying to hide. Richard Parson from Devon, England, discovered some cats ended up in his walls for a much creepier reason. In 2009, Parson, a funeral director, was having his house renovated when builders discovered the 400-year-old mummified body of a cat in his bathroom wall. As it turns out, 4 centuries ago, it was actually common for people to put the bodies of their cats in their walls as a way to ward off witches and evil spirits. I guess back then, especially in smaller villages, people were fairly superstitious and believed that cats were a type of good luck charm, even when dead. Surprisingly, the homeowners decided to put the mummy cat back in the wall, not wanting bad luck. Yeah, that's a totally sane thing to do. Just go to bed every night knowing that Whiskers is looking at you through the wall. Number 7 is cash. Ooh, now this is one I'd like. Home renovations are notoriously expensive, but for some lucky people, not only does the renovation end up paying for itself, they find themselves with way more money than they started with. In 2016, an anonymous homeowner in Cleveland, Ohio, discovered an old suitcase in his basement ceiling. Don't worry, no dead cat this time. When he opened it, he discovered over $23,000 in $20 bills wrapped in newspapers from the 1950s. This was a time when people were weird and kept their money in all kinds of weird places, including in the mattress of their bed, because you know that's safe. Now today, most people of course keep their money in banks, but in the post-war eras after the Great Depression, it was common for people to keep large amounts of money hidden in their homes. Kinda like Scrooge McDuck without the coin pool. This was done to avoid losing it should anything happen to the banking system. It was assumed that this would let you keep a closer eye on it, unless of course you forgot about where you put it in the first place, like a briefcase in the ceiling. Number 6 are horror movie posters. In 1991, a man from New Zealand thought that he'd received a fair deal when he bought a house for $100,000. That is, until he started renovating and discovered that he'd received the deal of a lifetime. Inside the walls was a pristine collection of original, rare Universal horror movie posters, which were worth 5 times what he paid for the house. The posters dated back to 1935 and included that year's hit, The Bride of Frankenstein. But oddly, he isn't the only one to find such things. In 2012, a collection of rare classic horror movie posters from the 1920s and 30s sold for over $500,000 at auction. The posters included Dracula and the Public Enemy and were found in the attic of a Berwick, Pennsylvania home. They'd been glued together and used as insulation. Hey honey, it's cold, can you warm up the place? Oh yeah, no problem, I'll just use these original Star Wars figures that are priceless as insulation. No problem. Number 5 is a mummified monkey. In April of 2018, a construction crew refurbishing Dayton's department store in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota, discovered the mummified remains of a monkey in an old air duct. After the crew discovered the animal's corpse, a picture of it was posted to the Old Minneapolis Facebook page with the hopes of determining its origin. Guys, it's a dead monkey, not the Ark of the Covenant. Dayton's was founded in 1902, and in the 1960s, there was a pet store on the 8th floor. So the popular theory is that that's where it came from. But there was also a rumor that the monkey had been stolen from the store, but Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton, the great-grandson of the store's founder, George Draper Dayton, believes that the monkey actually escaped into the ceiling when a rainforest display went off the rails and the monkey started trying to attack and eat birds. Mark, the monkey's loose again. Mark, the monkey's loose again! Number 4 is deadly mold. Oh, this one's pleasant. In 2011, Jason and Carrie Brown of Greenville, South Carolina entered a living nightmare when they discovered a secret room hidden behind a bookcase in their new home. Ooh, but Matt, was it a vault? Was there money in there? No. In the room was a note with a warning from the last owner, George Leventis. It warned that there was deadly mold in the room, explaining that it was so bad that it made the family sick and they had to move out. In a secret room, really? He couldn't just put a note on the kitchen counter? Yeah, that's kind of an important note to just leave in a hidden room. Why wouldn't you just put it on the kitchen table and be like, you might die if you move in? The family allegedly abandoned the house when they couldn't afford to get rid of all the mold. Testing confirmed that the house had many types of the worst kinds of mold, including black toxic mold. Obviously, the Browns moved right out, and fortunately were able to get some of the money back when the house was bought back by the Federal National Mortgage Association. You know, there are certain things that you really need to disclose for not just legal reasons, but ethical reasons when selling a house. Like, that would be one of them. Another would be a dead body, but that would never be in a wall. What? That's coming up? Number 3 is a 19th century baby. In 1850, a couple had been doing renovations on their apartment in Paris, France, when they discovered the mummified corpse of a baby in their wall. Now, they were immediately suspected of killing it and charged with murder, but they were proven innocent thanks to Dr. Marcel Berger. Oh, this gets gross. Sorry, Berger studied how flies affected the deterioration of the corpse and determined the baby's time of death. It would have been put in the wall long before the accused couple moved in, so they couldn't have been the culprits. They were exonerated, and detectives theorized that it was likely another couple who had lived in the apartment 7 years earlier who were really responsible. Fun fact, this case was actually the first time in France that forensic entomology was used in a criminal trial. Number 2 are hidden cameras. If you've ever been in a hotel, Airbnb, or you just freshly moved into a house, this is about to be your worst nightmare. In April of 2016, a young Japanese couple got way more than they bargained for when they rented a room in a suburban house in Sydney, Australia from the property millionaire Masaki Imada. After they moved in, the young woman discovered a posting online warning other renters that Imada secretly filmed his tenants with hidden cameras. Oh, after they moved in. That's great research skills. The couple searched the room and discovered a secret camera in the light fixture above the bed, but the police that were called in found an entire network of cameras in multiple properties hidden in the walls, ceilings, and floors. As if that wasn't creepy enough, they also discovered his hideout in a shed fully equipped with computers, a recliner, and a big screen TV to watch the renters in their most private moments for his own amusement. For the adults in the crowd, I think you know what I mean by that. He was caught and sentenced to 18 months in jail, thank God. And number 1 is the missing neighbor. In February of 2015, 61-year-old Mary Cerruti's neighbors in Houston, Texas, reported her missing after the woman seemed to vanish from her home. In her sudden absence, her house went into foreclosure and was sold at auction. Then, over 2 years later, on March 4th, 2017, the home's new tenants made a horrible discovery. Matt, was it bees, a cat, cockroaches? No, it was her. After finding broken floorboards in the attic, the couple discovered human bones and a pair of eyeglasses in the wall below. The skeleton was so badly decomposed that investigators were not even able to get a DNA match. However, they were able to positively identify the remains as Mary's by comparing her jawbone to pictures. It's believed that she met her terrible fate when she fell through the attic floor into the wall and she became stuck. Mary didn't have a little lamb. Mary had a tight wall. Yikes. Oh, what is wrong with people? Listen, man, if you're gonna move into a new house, you best do your research, okay? You might find money, that would be nice, but you're more likely to find like a baby, or like a cat, bees, something like that. Ain't nobody got time for that.